Hello everyone, welcome back. I have a scrapbook layout for you today and we're doing a fall layout. This is the Four Seasons Autumn collection from Close to My Heart. They're typically all 12 by 12, but I've already used some of this paper pack, so I do have some scraps here, and they're double-sided, so you can pretty much see all of the patterns here. This leaf pattern is gorgeous. I love plaid, and then we have some nice little subtle fall leaves and kind of like a gingham, and then this is my favorite, this wood grain, this deep dark wood grain. I just think is so pretty. So I have 3 photos today. Oops, there's a sticker from the sticker sheet. This is my dog Murphy, and you can see he's got a chunk of firewood. So there's a funny story behind these photos that I want to document, and I'll tell you more about that as we put the layout together. So let me just scoot these to the side here. And I already kind of have an idea of what I want to create with this layout. And let me bring in my VersaMat. We're doing a single page. So I know I want kind of a frame style layout with the leaves. I did cut a sheet of white daisy down to 10 by 10. So we have this nice big wide inch margin all the way around. And then I have this scrap piece of paper that was already left over. Let's see, it is 6.5 by 12. So what I was thinking, I'm going to gut that paper underneath there too, so don't worry. I will save that leaf paper because I think it's gorgeous. And then I just want to do like a horizontal row of my photos here. So actually, since Murphy's looking into the photo that way, I want to put this one on the right hand side so he's looking into the layout. This one's perfect in the center because he's kind of looking, and that's like the main focal photo where you can really see him close up. And this one he's walking that way, so it's perfect on the left here. I love the way that worked out. That wasn't even planned. Perfect. I'm thinking I might tear the bottom of this and then have a second torn edge to bring this dark wood grain paper in. That'll just give it some visual weight down at the bottom. So yes, I think I'm going to do that. We're going to add some ink to the edges, so let's go with Mocha. This is how I store my little ink foams. I don't seal these bags. These are little coin bags, but you can zip them closed. I leave them open for airflow. And then just use my label maker to label one per color. And it's working great, although the new ones are kind of these domed, which I absolutely love. I eventually want them all to be switched over to dome, but you can't fit as many in a tray here because they are thicker, but that's okay. I'll just get a second tray because that's working for me pretty well. So I am going to ink up the edges with Mocha ink just so we can kind of finish off that transition, give it a little bit more separation, and that'll help this stand out. So the funny story, my dog Murphy, he's got this giant chunk of firewood, right? So we cut our own firewood, and so we have a big, area of firewood covered kind of up away from the house, but then we bring down a little wheelbarrow full every couple of days to stack on the front porch. So when we're going for our walk, which is every day, Murphy gets so excited, just like nuts, bouncing around, and he has this behavior where he has to like grab something. So the firewood is there, easily accessible, so he grabs a log and he hangs onto it and packs it along on our hike or our walk wherever we're going. The problem is he carries it away, but the second you turn around to come back, he drops it. I don't care if you're walking like 4 miles, he'll carry it that 4 miles until you turn around. Time to come home, he's going to drop that firewood. So when this first started happening, my husband literally thought somebody was stealing firewood and driving away like so fast that it was bouncing out on the gravel dirt road, bouncing out of their truck as they fled the scene and leaving just chunks of firewood strewn along the road. It was too funny when I told him, no, that's your dog. Back to the layout, I thought I'd leave this in here because I do get asked quite a bit. So I'm gutting the paper. We want to save that center. My white cardstock going over this piece is 10 by 10. So this needs to be at least like 9 by 9 or 9.5. So you have enough room to still adhere that. A guillotine style trimmer won't work. You do have to have one like this where you can lift the blade up and down, dropping that blade right where you want it. I love to do this, especially on pattern paper, because, this is a good, size piece of paper, and we have both sides that we can use for another project now. We'll go ahead and bring back in that white daisy, and I am going to just run a little bit of tape runner around the edge here, and then we will get this centered onto our layout so we have that beautiful leaf frame with all of those gorgeous fall colors. Let's bring in the T-square ruler and see how we did. Oh, check it out, spot on. See how handy the VersaMat is in getting things, you know, even without the T-square ruler. I do want to point something out. I went over this brand new T-square ruler in a recent video, just kind of highlighting all of the details. There's a stitching guide with the holes that you could create different stitches for hand stitching. There's, you know, a 2-inch ruler, and then this goes, it's 2 inches thick, and then it's 14 inches long. So it goes all the way across a scrapbook layout, which is really nice. Now, typically, I'm not a measurer. I eyeball things. That's just kind of how I scrapbook. If I do measure, I'm using the lines on my VersaMat just to make sure my margins are, you know, even. Rarely do I bring in, I mainly use a T-square ruler to make sure things are straight. So I just flip this over and let me explain where people had a question. So when the numbers, the measurement marks are right side up, then the lip is on the top. So when you use a traditional T-square ruler, this is just a flimsy cheapie from Amazon, but the lip is on the bottom. So when you put this on your VersaMat, see how it kind of just locks into place there, and then your numbers are right side up. So naturally, you know, people were wondering, well, this should be the same. So when we reached out to Close to My Heart, they did create this ruler like this on purpose because they want it to be usable by all crafters, and many crafters work on big glass mats. So they wanted this to be smooth so it can slide over a glass mat. Because if you were working with it and the lip was on the bottom like most, then it would be kind of hard to use those holes because they would be elevated up off the paper and things would kind of slide when you're trying to line them up. Now you have no contact here. So they created it that way. If you want to get a straight edge, just flip it over, you know, and use it that way. It does still catch on the paper, so you can see it does have a little bit of a lip, so you can use it that way if you really need your numbers right side up. Anyway, I just wanted to explain that because a couple questions did pop up. And like I said, honestly, I did wonder it at first myself. So I digress. Let's get back to the layout. So we will bring this back in here. You could cut out that, but since I'm going to rip it, I don't know exactly what I need. See, and again, this is an example. I'll use the measurement marks on my VersaMat to know, you know, do I have the same amount of room up here as down here? Because on particular layouts, I do want my margins the same. So, okay, let's bring back in our photos here. And I'm thinking that I do want to tear this. So yeah, we're gonna tear this just kind of maybe right here. Do you ever have those times when you're scrapbooking and you realize you like put your photos on and off your layout probably 10 times before you commit? This is one of those layouts. So eventually I'll adhere them down. But I'm tearing it towards me because I want the white core. And on this piece, I do not want the white to show. So I flipped it over so I can still tear it towards me because I find that easier to do. But that way, when I flip it back over, because I want the wood side showing, I do not have the white core paper. I think I like that. So now we can go ahead and commit to adhering this down. I'll just add a little bit of tape runner on the back, and then I can slide that. I just make sure not to put it down to the very bottom. That way I can slide it under. You can always sneak adhesive underneath the edge of your page, but this makes it easier for layering. Okay, I like it. We can go ahead and actually commit to our photos here. And then I do want to rough this up. So I'm just kind of rolling the torn edge almost, and it's just giving a little bit more texture and dimension. It's kind of one of those things, it's a little bit hard to appreciate on camera, but you do notice those details when you're looking at the layout in person. So I'm going to go ahead with my fingernail, rolling that up. And now I'm going to bring in the sticker sheet. There's all these little banner pieces, and I thought it'd be fun to have this kind of swoopy banner-like element on the upper right-hand corner. And these just are so cute, and I'm going to kind of mix them up. There's actually little flag pieces too. Oh, guest appearance from Dave. I love Dave. He's so cute. He kind of matches the paper. Crafting with kittens can be quite the challenge. I do not have a door on my craft room, and little Dave here makes me wish I did often. So this is a little tab from the sticker sheet, and then these are kind of little gingham checked banners here. So I'm going to slide those under and create a little embellishment cluster down here. So you can kind of see where I'm going with that visual triangle. We have one here, and then the swoopy banner makes another, you know, kind of little embellishment cluster, and then I'm going to create one on the left upper corner with the title and a few more of the stickers. So these weren't standing out enough for my liking, so I'm just grabbing my little foam that still has the same Mocha ink in it. You don't always have to re-ink it, and then just going around the edges. And then we'll do this one as well here. I'm kind of thinking for my title, The Firewood Thief, but that's a kind of a long title. So I don't know if I'm going to, you know, roll with that. We'll have to see here. So I like to put things under the photo, and then on top of the photo, then there's this cute little sticker that says Crisp Air. And then, you know, I really want to add some interest to the center. It was kind of boring. So I thought this little kind of houndstooth pattern here, a wide border of that just on the center photo might be fun, and I do like that. But I'm going to move this tab to the other side just to carry that color over. And then this is the slim line alphabet thin cut set. It is one of my favorites, and I learned this little tip from my friend Jessica over on her YouTube channel. Glue 2 pieces of cardstock together ahead of time, because I like to stack my die cut letters just to give them a little bit more oomph, and you can cut 2 at once very easily. So I adhere those 2 pieces of cardstock together, and then the work is much easier. So we'll peel these off. I do have to cut my L twice because I only had one, and we're spelling out the word fall. I decided to go with fall traditions because it is this annual tradition we have of, you know, seeing the firewood strewn along our trails and road, and then we have to pick it up because he doesn't bring it home. So we do that once a week as we're driving home from work or something. We just, okay, today's the day we're going to pick up all the random pieces of firewood. I often like to mix and match elements for my title, so we're going to stamp the word tradition. This stamp set is actually called Tradition, so we have the big word tradition and then the definitions underneath. So I'm thinking that's going to look good right there. I'm going to ink that up in Paprika ink, and this can be a little bit scary, but we're going to tuck our foam piece underneath our layout. That's going to help us get a much more crisp impression. And then I'm going to practice. I'm going to rub that on my arm, season it, that gets all the oils off from the factory so it takes up the ink better. We're going to stamp it a few times on some scratch paper, and when you are sure that is looking good, we are ready to stamp on the layout. So make sure you don't have any ink on your block, and then just when you press down, go straight down, hold it for a second, and then lift up, and you should have a perfect image. Yep, looks great. I can remove that little piece of foam there, and then let me just clean this up. I like to kind of try and stay tidy while I am crafting. So I like my little stamp chamois there. That makes it quick and easy. Now I like to give this a little bit of a distressed look. We have the torn paper, which gives kind of a distressed, you know, vibe. And so I wanted to sand these letters, and you know, it's not showing up on camera very well against that lighter color background, but it's just giving a little bit of character to these letters. So I'm doing that just with a little nail file there. And I don't want to sand them too much because we do want the contrast between the light colored background and the letters. I highly recommend using liquid glue to adhere these because they are pretty skinny. This is the Barely Art Craft Precision Craft Glue, and it is my favorite. I have like the Tombow glue as well, which is fantastic, but when I need a very fine tip, I like to use this one. So I'm looking at my title, and I feel like it needs just a little something to connect the 2 words together. They feel a little bit disjointed to me. So I am thinking maybe some arrows, because the arrows, I have them in the wood grain. You can get the arrows in acrylic. They come in white, black, maybe rainbow too, and then wood. And I just love these wood shapes. So I'm thinking, that's not quite right. Maybe this swoopy one here. Let's try that. That's cute. I like that. See how it just kind of ties it together? It's just that little finishing piece. Let's see how this one looks. I don't like it as much. Let's go back to this guy. Just right. I want to add a little tear. I'm going to tear straight up and then roll these edges just so we get a little peek of that orange pattern paper. Just a little detail. I thought it'd be fun rather than just a straight tear all the way across. So just kind of roll that up. And I do want to add another arrow because we have the one up top. So yeah, that looks good. I do have some dog themed stamp sets. This is called Live, Laugh, Woof. Now it's no longer available with thin cuts, but you can get this stamp without the thin cuts. So there's this little sentiment on here that says Live, Laugh, Woof. And I thought it would be fun we're going to die cut that out with a circle. And I stamp that in intense black ink because I want to add a little bit of color. I have Nectarine, I'm squishing it so we get some color in the top, and then a water brush. Now I'm not adding any water, I'm just picking it up with the brush that already is moistened, and we're going to paint some of this Nectarine colored ink over this center word just to add a little pop of color and just a little dimension, kind of a little character to this tag here. Let me move my ink pad before I end up wearing that. I'm going to layer these together and pop them up on a little foam tape and layer them over the picture in the upper corner there. Typically, I don't create like heavily themed pet layouts, but I do like to add subtle little touches like this stamp, Live, Laugh, Woof. And then I want to stamp some paw prints on here as well. So just kind of little subtle, to bring in that, dog element rather than having like a heavily dog themed page. Does that make sense? Let's use archival black for our little paw prints. Same stamp set, and they are like two paw prints together, and I cut them in half because I want to be able to like rotate it and just use one. And I'm going to create a couple paw prints down there and then one up here just on the diagonal. Let me just twist that around. Just kind of a cute little detail here. I have a nice big piece of open real estate down towards the bottom of my layout, and that's going to be perfect for my journaling. I decided to type it up and cut that down to size so it looks like it's kind of printed on that background piece. Let me ink up the edges so it blends with the rest of it. Now, if I had known this in advance, I wouldn't have had to have put all of that cardstock back there, but that's okay. It's holding the layout together since we got the leaf pattern paper anyway. When I handwrite my journaling, I can't write this small, so I wouldn't have included all these details. So I wanted to type it so I had room to include the whole story and, just everything about Murphy carrying the firewood and my husband thinking somebody was stealing it and how we call him the firewood thief, and it's become our fall tradition. You can see I added just a couple more stickers from the sticker sheet, and from that Live, Laugh, Woof stamp, we have this one that says fur real, and it's spelled like F-U-R, fur real. And I thought that'd be cute on this little tab here. And we'll just layer that behind the circle and underneath the photo. For still shots, you can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, or Pinterest. I do have links to all of my accounts down in the description box below, along with everything I used to create today's layout. As always, if you enjoyed this video, I would love it if you gave me a big thumbs up. And if you're not already a subscriber, tap that subscribe button and join the Crafty Concepts with Erin community. I share a new video twice a week. And for more fall inspiration, check out these videos right here. Thanks, guys. I'll catch you next time.